We have 4 engines. They're all 4 rather dependable engines. It's a good and strong airplane. But should the need arise, on the navigation display we have several airports suitable for emergency landings. And we fly to the closest one, the most suitable one, and make an emergency landing there. And in case there is no airport at all, we have to make an emergency landing on terrain or over the ocean in the water. But luckily that happens almost never.
For the passengers, one of the ironies of flying today is that subsonic flights are no faster than they were 25 years ago. In fact, on many sectors, congestion on the approach to airports means that the total journey time is longer. The 747-400 cruises at 583 miles an hour, hardly any faster than the first generation of jet airliners in the 60s. Airlines say that what has improved, though, is passenger comfort, essential for enduring the 14-hour marathon sectors flown by the 747. As in every airline, it's first in business classes which have the best appointed accommodation.
This is part of our business class, and the seats are bigger and you can sit down and lay down. It's rather comfortable. I will show you the screens and all the channels. This is the flight track, channel number 2, all kinds of different movies. During the whole flight of 14 hours, they can watch different movies. You can also lay down, show you. It's very comfortable. This is a tourist class seat. They also have the music channels. The tickets are a bit cheaper, but it's still, I think, comfortable to sit in. This is one of the screens on which we send the movies, and this is the flight track. This flight is going to Hong Kong, and the flying time will be around 12 hours. The passengers can see how the plane is flying through the flight. I'll show them the flight in between the movies. Look, they really like this.
The business class even has its own separate galley, one of several on board this aircraft. Round the corner is the tourist class galley. A special lift is available to take food from the galleys to the upper deck. The aircraft galleys just keep food refrigerated and heated up for serving. All the meals have been individually prepared beforehand in KLM's own catering factories. It's here the fresh ingredients arrive daily and are immediately taken to the laboratorium where staff check them for quality. This catering factory prepares food for 20 different airlines departing from Schiphol. On a daily basis, the factory staff are responsible for producing 28,000 meals for 225 flights. It's a mammoth 24-hour operation. Melons are sliced by the hundreds, lettuce leaves washed by the thousands. And this vast casserole will be heading for more than just a few hungry mouths. From pancakes to sandwiches, entrees to samosa snacks, everything is diligently prepared. Finally, trays are stacked, containers are locked, and the food is delivered to each aircraft less than an hour before takeoff. All over the world, the demand for air travel is increasing. As more countries deregulate their airline systems, competition is forcing down fares. More people than ever before can now afford to fly. As demand for seats increases, the air transport industry is having to find ways of meeting the need for more capacity. The 747-400, based on a 1960s design, is still the world's largest commercial aircraft. But by 2003, the demand for airline seats will have risen to 1.8 billion a year. How can the airlines and the airports cope with that? Many of them are already reaching full capacity. Handling double the number of aircraft will be almost impossible. Landing slots are at a premium. Congestion in the skies is a major problem. London's Heathrow Airport is a key international hub, the busiest international airport in the world. Already the equivalent of almost the entire adult population of Britain, 52 million, use the airport every year. Soon, though, that number is set to rise to 80 million. To cope with the demand, plans are now underway to add a 5th terminal at Heathrow. The idea is to increase the number of passengers which can be catered for without there being an equivalent increase in the number of flights. The new terminal would have spacious facilities for tomorrow's air travellers. It's planned to be built on a 250-acre site inside the existing airport perimeter, on the unlikely foundation of a former sludge works. The assumption is that although there will be an increase in passengers, there will only be a relatively small increase in flights. By the time it's complete, it's thought a new breed of very large aircraft, giant jet airliners, will have been developed, which will enable more passengers to be carried on the same number of flights as today. Japan has already found itself running out of runways and airports. Here, with demand for passenger flights doubling every 10 years, a totally new solution was created: Kansai, a brand new airport on a specially created artificial island in Osaka Bay. Using Kansai means a long road and rail journey to reach the island. But these days, no one, not even the Japanese, want a new airport in their backyard. Kansai is 5 kilometers offshore. The new airport and its extensive passenger terminal opened in September 1994, and it already handles 162,000 landings and takeoffs every year, 24 hours a day. Even if airports can expand, it's still difficult to increase the number of flights. More airliners just add to congestion in the skies, and there's a limit to how much traffic the controllers can handle. Air traffic across Europe is divided up into sections, and each section is responsible for the aircraft passing through it. In each section, the space is divided up into corridors to provide a smooth flow of traffic. Within these corridors, the aircraft have to have a 5-mile horizontal separation and 1,000 feet vertical separation. But when the corridors become overloaded by too many aircraft trying to pass through it, delays occur. Once again, the problem points to one solution: bigger airliners.
There's a limit to what you can do with an existing design. The 747 basically was designed during the 1960s, and however much you adjust it, a great deal of its technology will be 1960s. So there is a need for a completely new, not just a stretched 747. There is a need for a completely new, very large airplane.
This is Boeing's model for their new large aircraft. The length would be approximately the same as the existing 747, but the wingspan would be greater. The twin deck throughout the length of the aircraft would provide seating for up to 800 passengers. Airbus Industries' plans for a large aircraft is the A3XX, capable of carrying up to 850 passengers. Powered by versions of existing engines used on the A330, this Airbus would be a double-decker with 9 or 10 abreast seating on the main deck. The costs of development are likely to be more than one manufacturer can afford. With a total forecast world demand for only 500 of these aircraft, it may not be economically viable for one manufacturer to go it alone. A joint project is also on the drawing board: the Very Large Commercial Transport, known as the VLCT. It's the joint study of Boeing and the Airbus partners. It too would be an 800-seat double-decker.
I believe that when the new large aeroplane market does make itself completely clear and people set off down the track of building it, I think Airbus will be there, or many of Airbus's partners, and I think Boeing will be there. And in a larger way than it's ever been there before, Japan will be on board as well, because they will be wanted, because they need lots of those airplanes, and because they want their industry involved, and because the world needs to develop this airplane, it needs Japanese investment.
The advent of the 800-seater aircraft will mark a new milestone in commercial aviation. But how will pilots feel about flying such an aircraft? And about being responsible for so many passengers' lives on board such a huge airliner?
I don't think there's much difference in responsibility for 400 or 500 people, or 900 or 1,000 people. You do the work to the best of your ability, and even if it's 1 or 2 passengers you are responsible for, you do your job the same way. You don't take risks, not for 1 or 2 passengers, not for 1,000 passengers. You try to fly as safe as possible.
Until the dawn of the new era of very large aircraft, the 747 is destined to remain the long-haul workhorse of the skies. Since that initial rollout in 1968, more than 1,000 747s have been manufactured. Just over 60 of those are the 400 series. Boeing now have orders on their books for aircraft to be delivered in the next century. The engineers say that with the correct maintenance, a 747 will last for at least 25 years. That means those aircraft delivered at the beginning of the new century will still be flying in the year 2025, 56 years after the first 747 took to the air. One thing's certain, the 747 will still be as much a part of air travel in the 21st century as it's been in the 20th.
Special Forces next profiles the Greek Army's elite fighting corps.